I'm Jacob. I'm keeping last names confidential because this isn't a work of fiction, and my last name is very unique. I don't share a name with anyone else. I've checked. I'm here to tell you about the day that I died. Confusing, I know. All will make sense in due time. I was 19 when it happened. Far too young to die. Yet the universe doesn't give a shit how old you are. Things just happen. So, for the most part of my life, I've been a pretty athletic person. I never would have imagined I had an underlying heart condition. The mitral valve prolapse. It's a hell of a thing. Google it. It's a sneaky bastard. A few of you even probably have it. But you'll never know until it stops your heart when you least expect it. So, 4 years ago today, my daughter was born. This was also the date of my death. I had gotten a woman pregnant at 18 years old. I had this Adderall addiction that I did never really resolve, up until the day that she was born. When it was time to take her to the hospital for the birth, I had been up for almost 5 days straight at this point. To this day, I have no idea why she didn't leave me during my Adderall abuse phase. Alas, it did kill me. Before we left, since I had been up for so long, to counteract the inevitable crash, I took around 160 milligrams of extended release Adderall, all in one gulp. After this, we left for the hospital. When we got there, I felt fine for maybe the first hour. I was just experiencing the typical side effects of being awake for 5 days. You know, hallucinations, shadow people, voices, bright flashes in my vision, delirium, among other things as well. About an hour and 40 minutes into my hospital stay, as my girlfriend was having contractions, I felt the massive dose of Go Fast pills kick in. A wave of euphoria hit me that was so intense, I couldn't feel my body within 5 seconds. I felt like I had lost all motor skills. I just twitched from what I was told. My eyes are doing all sorts of funky shit. Apparently I looked like I was having a seizure. My entire immediate family was present watching the whole thing, whom later told me about the experience. Apparently during the episode, my hidden condition reared its ugly head. My heart stopped during the spaz attack. The last thing I remember is feeling like I can't breathe, as if somebody kicked me in the diaphragm. I died here. From this point on, everything I remember apparently happened in a period of approximately 27 seconds, according to the doctor who resuscitated me. It felt like days. Time doesn't exist after you die, for starters. Firstly, I felt as if I was drowning in infinite blackness. I don't mean drowning like it's all around me. I mean drowning like I'm at the bottom of an ocean of pure blackness. All the pressure in the entire ocean upon me, crushing my being, grinding me into nothing. Except I was already nothing, from what I gather. You can feel the pain after you die. It's pretty much all that I felt. This wasn't any real-life pain. It was just indescribable agony like I can't even begin to understand to this day. I couldn't think. I couldn't speak. But from what I can gather, I had a body. I could feel my entire being. Except every inch of it was unimaginable pain. Like there is a vice perfectly fitted around my body, crushing me down with all the weight in the world. But my body didn't squish. I just stayed like that, for a time. Was I in hell? I don't think so, but maybe. Then, my head was forcibly moved forward by an unseen force. I was looking directly straight, and there, I saw a figure. But the pain didn't stop. The crushing didn't let up. The blackness was like a liquid. It was fluid, but the figure walked towards me. Despite there being no light, I could see it. I couldn't even close my eyes. All I had was the pain, and this figure, approaching me with what looked like a normal gait that a human would have. Except it was massive. It got bigger the closer that I got. I couldn't even look away. I couldn't blink. I couldn't really think about anything besides the pain and this figure. I didn't even realize that I was dead, for a time. My eyes couldn't leave its face. Whatever force was manipulating my body wouldn't let me move my gaze. I suffered in agony for what seemed like forever, while this massive figure approached me. It was a lot further away than I thought, but I didn't realize this because of its size. I pleaded with the figure. "Help me. Please. It hurts. What are you?" It said nothing, and continued its approach while I suffered. I don't remember it looking like a human, besides its body shape. It was actually completely white, with a skinny, sickly-looking human frame. It was extremely tall and slender. Its face had no features besides two black voids for eyes. Deep and dark. You could see a kind of insatiable hunger in them, if you ever saw them. It's impossible to describe. I'm doing my best. Its eyes looked like they could eat worlds and never be satisfied. I felt like their gaze was pulling on my soul, and tearing at my grip on whatever reality I was in. It drew closer, until it was a short distance away, and then it stopped. It looked down at me. It had no expression. I could just feel its hunger, still pulling at my being. My gaze was fixated on its eyes, and there was nothing I could do about it. It watched me in agony for a time. I screamed, cried, and pleaded with the being. I don't remember all of what I was saying. I just wanted it to get me out of the pain, but I knew somehow that it was the one that was causing it. Eventually, I got an answer from the being as to what it was. 1,000 voices all spoke to me in unison. They were deafening, louder than anything I thought possible.
"I am all."
It boomed. "What the? Why am I here? Who are you?" I wailed.
"I made you. You will return to me in time, and once again be nothing."
It boomed. "Where am I? What do you want?" I screamed.
"You are where all come from, and where all return to. Now is not your time."
It boomed again. And then the pain stopped. The crushing stopped. The darkness went from an ocean to the back of my eyelids, as I felt a zing. A force smashed into my chest. I took a breath and I opened my eyes. I had never felt such a relief in my life. I couldn't move all that well. I wanted to just sit up and hug the man I saw over me with a defibrillator in his hands. The wires were still attached to my chest. "He's back!" The man hollered. There were actually people all around me. A few doctors in scrubs and some other bystanders. I was in the OB room with my girlfriend while she was having contractions before I died. Most of what I remember is just a delirium from this point on. I remember rambling on about what had happened to me, wherever I went during the event. Not much made sense. I felt like my brain and body weren't connected anymore. They laid me down in a hospital bed and hooked me up to some monitoring devices. I blacked out shortly after. When I came to, the doctor explained to me that my heart had stopped for approximately 27 seconds, and that I may have sustained very mild brain damage. He also told me 43 more seconds of this and I would have been a vegetable. He also explained that during monitoring, they discovered I had a condition called mitral valve prolapse. It's characterized as a condition where a certain valve in the heart stays open too long sometimes during a heartbeat, causing too much blood to enter the heart, which then causes both extra beats and skip beats. Most people with the condition live normal lives without even knowing, but it can strike and cause a myocardial infarction without warning, especially under the influence of stimulants, which already confuse your heart as they are. From what I had experienced, I was glad that this happened in the hospital. My girlfriend was having the baby in a separate wing, and I was missing it. They wouldn't let me go watch. I probably couldn't even walk there at that point. I was still in amphetamine psychosis from the Adderall, and I didn't understand much. I didn't feel like I had the motor skills to move either. If this had happened anywhere else, I would have stayed dead and stayed with that thing. God, no. Actually, I might have seen God. I hope that wasn't him. After I was monitored for several days, they released me. My girlfriend had had the baby already and had returned home. And now, I only remember the part where I was dead vividly. The rest is all basically a blur. The memory never leaves my mind. It haunts me for the better part of every single day. I have dreams of it happening, at least a couple nights a week. I'm horrified of the thought of dying now. If that's what really comes after, I've got to find a way to live forever. No being deserves to endure what I endured, no matter what they did during their time on Earth. I was a good person, as far as I could tell, aside from the substance abuse. I don't know why that would have been hell. I think that's what happens to everyone after they die. I've tried explaining what I saw to my family, friends, and my girlfriend. They all chalk it up to the amphetamine psychosis, a fluke, or just a really vivid dream. I can tell you all that it was no dream. I felt every minute of it. It felt like hours. I remember every second. I will never be the same. I'm afraid to even leave the house because I could die out on the road, or one of the other million ways a man can die. I religiously take my prescribed heart medication for fear of death. My girlfriend is only still with me because of our daughter. She thinks that I'm a lunatic. We're both miserable human beings now. I can't get that day out of my head. The day that I found out what happens when we die.